Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. That is what we do. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning, and welcome to the POMcast. I am your host, Stephen Willis, and we're going to do a little thing that's a little different today. We're going to kind of use today as a testing ground thing. If you look over to the left, you can see the chat dialog box, and I'm trying to see with chat scrolling through what it means. And you can chat from YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. Those are all confirmed. If you put if you go into the thread that we're live streaming now and you comment on it, it will show up for sure. So it's a way for you to interact with the show. It's something we're going to use further down the line. Probably somewhere in the ballpark of football season, the recruiting shows, things like that. This is going to be an avenue for you and be basically exactly what you want to know. If you've ever listened to a recruiting show and they don't talk about exactly what you want, here's the way you can ask a question. Here's the way you can participate. Here's the way you can let your voice be heard. And I need to change that because, just a second, I accidentally moved that over whenever I was doing all of this, so sorry about that. There we go. That's fixed. That shows you how quickly I can fix things too on this show. So, but that'll be kind of the way forward right now with this chat feature. It's multi-platform chatting. You can comment on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. It's all going to show up right here. You can see the icons above so we can tell where you're coming from. And if you have a question, you can interact with the show. We might not hit them all. We might not hit them all the time, but we'll try to do the best we can. Anyway, thank you for joining the POMcast this morning. Basically, you can catch us on Twitter at the Stephen Willis and at the Rebel Walk. I'll hit on the Rebel Walk a little bit later. Facebook.com/POMcast. Facebook.com/POMcast. YouTube, Positively Ole Miss. Hit subscribe, hit the bell. It'll help you out and you'll know when we are streaming. And, of course, you can join us on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss, all one word. We also are streaming over at Willis Digital Media on YouTube and Willis Digital Media on Twitch. So, subscribe if you want. If more than Ole Miss is what you're looking for, eventually that'll be a nice landing spot. We haven't started the extra videos yet, but we will very soon. Now, if you're into audio, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. I think that's all of them. We're also on a bunch of little minor podcatchers, but if we announce them and do that, it would be all day. This is only a 30-minute show. So that is where we are on audio. So that's video, that's audio. You've seen the Twitch thing, the chat thing where you can interact with the show. That's going to come in handy for instant reactions. But I just want to show it to you ahead of time so you get used to it. Basically, if you chat in the bottom during the show, it's going to pop up there, and everybody's going to be able to see it, and you'll be able to participate in the show. Now, this is also, you see test written up there a few times, and that is absolutely true. But the width questions might get cut off. I can see the whole thing in front of me, but on the screen we have to play with that a little bit. But it looks like it's going to be a really cool thing. You can see by the icons where they are from. So I'm really excited about this, as most of you can tell. But real quick, let's get into Ole Miss news, because that's why most of you are here. You don't want to just hear me talk. TJ McCants got Freshman of the Week in the SEC. And that's an all good thing type situation. The kid makes the Ole Miss bats better. He almost hit 2 home runs against Bama. There's a double off the wall. He also cleared the wall later in the series. It just makes it very much so. I mean, he's very effective with what's going on. And he's also playing a good bit of defense. He plays the infield. He plays outfield. Mostly in the SEC series, he plays center field. But that bat and that pop has made the Ole Miss lineup a little bit more dangerous than it was. And it was already pretty dangerous. It was already a plus lineup. You add TJ McCants and it gets a little bit better. See, last year, when they went on that run, they had Anthony Servideo and Tyler Keenan. And people wondered where the replacement production would come from. Now you have Jacob Gonzalez hitting in the upper 200s. You have TJ McCants floating that. And you're starting to see them get a little bit more comfortable as SEC play goes on. I mean, McCants by SEC plays has basically put down his marker on a starting spot in center field. Now, he's probably not going to play second base anytime soon unless Peyton Chatinier gets injured because, I mean, he's a plus bat, plus player as well. But you want to get as many of those good players on the field as possible. Now, also, coming off of last season, what's the word? Like players like Hayden Leatherwood and all that had not gone. The Auburn series was the first time they went through SEC pitching. And that is worth remembering. That is worth basically keeping in mind going forward. Because what we saw last season may not carry over into the extreme pitching of the Southeastern Conference. Now, with that, though, Leatherwood has struggled fairly dramatically. John Rice Plumlee is moving up. And that's a right field situation to watch. You have one that's a little bit hotter bat than the other. And I would expect to see them righty and leftying this as this moves forward personally. Because that bat has gotten there. He's got really quick hands, John Rice Plumlee. He's developed quite well. But this isn't even an outfield with Jerry and Ely in it. Picture what that outfield will look like with those two in there as well. You obviously need development. You need the bat to come around. But we're talking about a situation where balls just don't drop. They just don't drop. The range out there will be tremendous. Anyway, this tonight, Ole Miss plays North Alabama. Obviously, a couple of years ago, badness happened, but this year they're hoping to keep the momentum going and get ready for a huge series this weekend at Florida. Now, whenever you look at the season at the beginning of the year, look at the schedule, and you look down home series, you want to go 2-1. Road series, you want to go 1-2, and maybe win 2 series. If you win 2 series on the road and go 2-1 at home, you're looking at 17-13, and you're in great shape. Well, if Ole Miss can get this series while Florida is playing a little bit disheveled, I mean, they're good players. I mean, in Florida, half of our team, it seems like, is Florida. But if you look at the way they're playing right now, it's a chance for Ole Miss to really make a run at them. I mean, Florida has a new park down there. I'm interested to see it on SEC Network Plus when that comes out. But if Ole Miss can make a run and win 2 games this weekend and come out of this weekend 8-1, they are balling. You've already got your prerequisite road series, and you can 2-1 and 1-2 your way out of this as it goes through Murderers Row. And it's based off of plus 1 win this weekend. Remember, 2-1, 1-2, plus 1 win. Go 2-1 this weekend, and you're sitting pretty with Arkansas coming to your place. Coming to your place the following weekend. I mean, it's set up, and if Ole Miss can get through Florida and Arkansas, sorry, and you're sitting at even 10-2, let's say 10-2. Do you realize what that means? That means to go 500 at that point. You just have to go 5-13 the rest of the way. You're talking about an exponentially special season that could happen. I mean, it's kind of a large deal. It really is. You got North Alabama, get through them tonight. They're 21-4. If you take 2 or 3 this weekend, you're 23-5, sitting at 8-2 or 8-1 in the SEC. We're not used to starts like that. The last time we've seen a start like that was 2014 in football, where we went 7-0. That's the last time we saw something like that. But it's a very big deal. And if you go 1-2, that's the baseline expectation for every SEC road series. Do not get swept. That's the goal. If you win plus 1 and go 2-1 this weekend, you're not only sitting pretty, but you're sitting really pretty. I mean, you're talking about gaps. You already have gaps developing. Like Ole Miss has a 4-game lead on Mississippi State through 6. And they're sitting at 3rd and 4th. Only Arkansas that Ole Miss only has a game lead on is the competition. After this weekend, if that gets more pronounced, the West could be basically a 2-team race. Now, take all those games. I understand what you're saying. Take all those games. We still have 21 games at that point left to be played. But the gap will be such that will be hard to make it up. Period. And when the gap is hard to make up, you dig yourself a hole and just end it. It could be good. Now, that scenario could be a bad thing as well, because Ole Miss still has to go through their schedule and get into Omaha. Because that's the goal, Omaha. It doesn't matter what's happening now. I mean, enjoy what's happening now, because this type of stuff doesn't happen very often. But the goal is to get to Omaha. And once you get to Omaha, make some noise. I have questions about a team that plays this way, how they could do in Rosenblatt. But I'm willing to see. They do pitch it very well. And if you keep the score low, it does help you. But I don't think you'll see a situation, if they do make it, that they're running the ball out of the ballpark in Rosenblatt, New Rosenblatt, that is. We're going to take a short break. Just short. It's going to be kind of short. Anyway, when we come back, we talk about spring football. And, we have no sound or anything today, but Thursday, spring football is a third of the way done. Time's flying. Anyway, stick around.
only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese. We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
All right, welcome back to the POMcast on this Tuesday morning, the 30th of March. Can you believe how fast time is flying? Just on down the road, it just keeps going. But thank you very much for joining us. I want to take this opportunity to talk about the Rebel Walk. They've been a fantastic partner with us. You can see them right there. Basically, they provide a subscriber level service for no money. They just give you the content for free, so you can know what's going on and know everything that you need to know right there by going to them. So they've been a fantastic partner of this podcast, and Evelyn and the team does a heck of a job. You've seen several of them on Instant Reactions, Trevor Oxley, Chris Muller, Jake Evans coming on, doing whatever they need to do. But it's really cool. So it's really cool that they are here doing this. So we're going to get back to our test in just a second, and as part of that test, as you can see it's over there. I always point the wrong way first. That's the dangest thing. But we're working with, interactive stuff, so you can interact with the show and make it to where it's a little bit more user friendly. So, like I said, if we go to the chat and the live stream at YouTube and say, let's see, what do we want to say? Let's see. I'm in the chat at YouTube. Just going to type in a message. And it cut off my W for some reason. Put that in there, hit enter. And there we go. And it just pops up the top, auto-populates. Y'all know how chat works. But this chat works in a way that it aggregates from all the services where the stream is. So Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. It's not really hitting the Periscope chat. I need to check that out real quick. I'll do a little test real quick and see how that is doing as well. And let's see, Periscope's going away, obviously, so I'm not overly concerned about that. It's going to be Twitter video, basically day after tomorrow, I believe. So let's see, there it is, streaming. Says log in to comment. Okay, so if you're logged into Periscope, it'll pop up as a Periscope. Once it switches over to Twitter, I don't know exactly what it will do, but I'm sure they're going to figure out a way to integrate the conversations through Periscope and Twitter and all that moving forward. But let's move forward to, today is the 4th practice of spring, which means Thursday is a third of the way through spring practice. Now, because of the weather, nobody's been able to really lay eyes on what we've seen. We're hoping to do an instant reaction this weekend after practice with one of the Rebel Walks members that are planning to go. Once that happens, we'll be able to talk about it a little bit. And that'll be our first real clue of what's going on. But that is, that'll be almost 6 practices through spring. It's over a third of the way through. And that'll be our first look at it. And it's kind of cool not really having a direction. You have preconceived notions going into spring, and you can confirmation bias that moving forward. But it's kind of cool to see these guys with really blank eyes, because the last time we saw them was the Outback Bowl against Indiana, and all the newcomers coming in. I'm a huge Tysheem Johnson guy. I don't think I need to really say anything about that. But, Tyreek Robbins, Tywan Malone, the 2 JUCO guys, Jamon Gordon, Isaiah Iton. I mean, it is in position. You got players like Deke Jackson, who is probably the first person I've ever heard of that has moved from Key West, Florida to Oxford, Mississippi. I don't know. And so much is going on, and so much needs to get done. And the fact that we don't really know where they are kind of puts you behind the 8 ball a little bit. Hit the wrong button there. Let's see. And because of that, and it's just a huge spring for these young guys, and for the old guys. This is a massive spring for the defense, because we know what we have offensively. I mean, you're replacing Kenny Yeboah, Elijah Moore, and Royce Newman. Those are the 3, but 8 are back, including the quarterback, both running back and most of the skill players. Big spring, although, by the way, for Jonathan Mingo. Huge spring for him. But defensively, you really add so many bodies, and there's so much of a mix that has to go. They must be coaching them up like crazy this spring, because they're getting ready for fall camp, and they want them to play. Because the offense is going to go. We need a defense that's in shape enough to handle the demands of the offense. That includes a lot of the bodies that you guys saw last year. And because of COVID and everything that happened, not so much, you can't really lay on last year. You can't really make an educated judgment of last year. Coaches are so risk averse. I mean, there's not a coach out there that takes massive risk. So whenever you take away spring practice and half the practices of fall camp, think about all that film that went away. A coach that is used to looking over it and making a decision, most deliberate thing that you can imagine, it wasn't there. And mistakes were made because it wasn't there. It's caused a difference of basically judgment of these guys. And without that, you saw the first 3 games of the season. Now, it didn't help that Ole Miss had Florida and Alabama in the first 3 games. Now, absolutely didn't help, with Kentucky sandwiched in the middle. That's an absolute murderer's row for anybody, much less a new staff in a COVID year where they can't meet and practice is severely limited. I mean, you could see, though, the progression throughout the year once the decisions and the film started catching up. I was big on that during the season last year, during the POMcast, and I'm big on it now. I mean, it's very much risk-averse people, football coaches. So, but it's just kind of amazing. Kind of amazing that we're this far along in spring. Not much time left. You're missing your opportunity if you're not making plays now. Pads are going on. It's time to go. It is time to go. If you can't do it now and you can't make waves this spring, you're going to be behind the 8 ball come the fall, because they are going to make decisions in the fall with a large part of this spring as the baseline. And the tie is going to go to the younger guy. That's something people need to realize too. Tie goes to the younger guy. And that younger guy with potential, if they're the same as somebody that, if they have a higher ceiling, but they're playing about the same as an upperclassman, Ty's going to go to that younger guy. This program is about fun, competition, and pro mindset. Those are the 3 things. That is the culture of Ole Miss football right now. That's exactly what they want, and they're building it and doing a heck of a job with it. So, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes back today. Thank you very much for watching us. Not a lot of news today. TJ McCants, Freshman of the Week, played North Alabama tonight. Tomorrow we'll have some video from spring practice day 4. And maybe some sound post North Alabama as well. So until then, hotty toddy.